hear me?
Yes, sir. Let me open with a call.
DLF and Chaz. Yes, the name should be changed to the wife pleaser, but y'all missed the meaning behind it. The wife pleaser isn't pleasing his wife. He's pleasing your wife. Just wanted to point that out since it's more aligned with the archetype who wears that shirt. Cheers.
Zing. Now it,
Ouch.
now it hits
Ouch.
different.
Man, that is a hard note to take right on the chin on this January 3rd, right after the new year has passed.
I mean, the opening show of the year getting hit with some truth, but let's be real. Do you feel any threat from the dude wearing the wife pleaser?
Well, last night I started watching Twisters with the family. Have you watched the new Twister, the remake of the iconic movie Twister? It is
No.
so terrible. And Glenn Powell, the actor, I feel is the dude who'd be wearing the wife pleaser and theoretically pleasing the wife. And wife could not have been more off-put by Glenn Powell. So I feel pretty safe in my house.
I think your wife has pretty unconventional tastes.
Sophisticated. Yeah, I don't know. Like she really, I mean, at some point, man, I was on a, yeah, good thing. I wrote a whole entire article. She has been proven wrong time and time again with her taste. Me not included in that. She, she, when we first got together, she found Army Hammer super sexy. And so I wrote a whole article in Flaunt magazine or series. I think it was a four-part. It was a classic where I went out to become a male model to prove that I was better looking than Army Hammer. But look at how that has aged, David Lee Scales.
Well, 1 week before the P. Diddy thing, she was on this show and we were talking about, or no, she was on Noble Rot is what it was.
Yes.
And we were talking about like heroes and zeros. And she's like, I like LeBron James. And then the
Yep.
following week, he gets implicated in the Diddy thing.
Boom. Yep. Bad taste there. So I don't have to worry. If she finds a wife pleaser attractive, I basically know that dude is going to jail and or going to be fully canceled because he wanted to eat women.
um, I would be disappointed if my wife actually uh, fell for the charms of the wife pleaser. I'd be disappointed in her. I'd be like, look, infidelity aside, you have terrible taste. That dude's wearing a wife pleaser. What is up with that?
Who is her like number one dude? Who's the guy that really where she has to fan herself when he comes on the screen or on the radio?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Really?
I
Does
think
she
like
not?
there's I
Justin Baldoni.
definitely not him. I think Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Gosling, like any
Okay,
of those Ryans,
the
kind of
Ryans.
that look.
So if one of the Ryans showed up in a wife pleaser, would she be like, ooh, or would she prefer one of her Ryans in like what they wear normally, like their business casual?
Business casual for sure.
Okay, so
Yeah.
once it gets down to the wife pleaser, she'd be like, if you could put on a polo, be a lot better.
I think she likes the mystery of not seeing everything up front.
Okay,
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
But man, the wife pleaser as the one who's pleasing your wife, something to really think about, something to
It,
really consider in this new year.
it really is. I wore a that beach grit cutoff in front of her one time. She
Good
made fun
shirt.
of me for like a week.
Man, so she is not into the bare armed look.
Well, especially if you're not muscular, then it's particularly hard to pull off. I mean, I guess like you're not muscular, but your thin spaghetti arms also work in the cutoff. So you either have to be muscular with like tone and definition or the opposite of that. But the in between, no point.
Doesn't I think you can also be super fat in a wife pleaser and it
Yeah, that's
sort
true.
of work. I think you can be like that dude when things go wrong, that dude will protect me.
Totally. Well, getting into New Year's talk, welcome back to the show. It's January 3rd, 2025, our first show, 301, but our first
Right
show of the
on
new year.
2025. Perfect timing.
I'm going to hit you with a barrel or not right out of the gates.
Great.
Waiting until Monday to start your New Year's resolution.
I'm gonna say full barrel. I'm gonna say this whole, I've felt it throughout this entire holiday season. It's felt off, not in a bad way, but just like, huh, something's different here. And I realized, and we've talked about it on the last shows, or maybe Noble Rot, but about where Christmas and or New Year's, or they both fall on the same day, I suppose, where they fall really depends sort of how that holiday season feels. And this one, with them falling on Wednesday, I feel most of this holiday season was free time waiting to get started with something else. And so I feel we are still in, it'd be pointless to start anything until Monday, to be quite frank. That's when the week starts. That's when life starts up again. Why even try to fight it?
Totally agree. I'm waiting until Monday.
Yeah, I mean, why?
I don't have like a hard and fast resolution, but just the things that, yeah, waiting to start the non-gluttonous lifestyle, let's
Yeah.
say, is starting on Monday.
I feel you can really shovel more in right now and make yourself so disgusted by the time Monday comes around that it'll, like, the resolution, whatever, the let's tamp it on down, let's have some control, will actually stick around because you'll be so disgusted by gluttony by the time
I,
Monday rolls.
I'm getting close. I
Yeah.
honestly don't even want to participate in this weekend. I'm
Yeah.
like, you know, I've been eating and drinking myself into oblivion nightly, daily, and it's like I don't even want any more food, but I'm sitting there at night and Austin's not asleep yet, and I'm like, why not just eat another C's candy at this point?
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah.
want it. I'm just bored. You
There it
know,
is.
I've sat in front of the TV too much for 2 weeks straight. Like I just do it out of entertainment, out of nothing, for no other reason at all.
I feel Monday's going to hit and it's going to feel so good when you wake up with purpose and with some constraint on consumption and all of that stuff.
You know what's weird though? I would think that I would feel terrible right now. I'm
Yeah.
2 weeks in, and this is 8 a.m. in the morning, and I should be just feeling groggy and terrible and sluggish. And it's like, nope, feel pretty good. My brain's firing, like ready to chat, you know?
Normal.
I
Let's
know.
go.
It's so
Yeah.
then I'm like, well, why not have the extra C's candy?
Why not? I
Why
mean,
not?
that's the thing though. I think when it gets and I wonder if this is true. I mean, unless addiction, real addiction aside, I wonder if the boredom of whatever you're doing is the problem, right? And so people who are always gluttonous, if that's boring and you should clean it up, not for health, not for lifestyle, not for anything other than because you bored yourself. You bored yourself with your gluttony. Likewise, people who are up at 6:30, getting their fitness on, eating their healthy foods, doing all of it. If, hey, you're boring yourself, man, go have a month, have a 6 months of letting it all hang, just gluttony time. Just do it because you are boring.
I think that's entirely true.
Like you're boring yourself when you wake up in the morning and think, because that's it, right? It's you're sitting there bored. And I feel at the end of this glutton season, your change is not going to be because you feel bad. Your change is going to be because it was boring. You are bored with eating all the time.
Totally. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I think there's science that supports that too. Like if you're working out the same muscle group day in and day out, you stop seeing the benefits that you would have seen on the first few days. And so you want
Yeah.
to mix it up, you know?
Doesn't feel good anymore. It's not providing anything for you. It's just
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah. So mix it up.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, good. Looking forward to Monday then. Quick note, we mentioned it on Noble Rot, but we have a new guest added to the live show at the Belly Up. It is one Karen Howard.
Is she confirmed?
Confirmed.
This
And
is going to be the buy
Devin's bringing
tickets
her.
today then. Buy tickets today. Howard will sell out that room.
Kevin Howard, the world's biggest surf fan.
Oops, did I call her Kevin Howard? I think
Whoops,
we
did I
both
just
called her
call
Kevin.
her? Sorry, Karen Howard. Uh, man, that's funny. Karen Howard, the world's biggest surf fan for reasons we enumerated a couple of weeks ago. Um, I was waiting to get hit with like text messages of how funny that song was, and like Karen is flattered. And it took a couple of weeks. And then finally I got a call from Devin. And he goes, hey, my mom hadn't even heard it. Like I listened 2 weeks late and then I sent it to her and she was like, why would anybody make a song about me? Like what?
Yes.
But she was totally flattered and then, of course, felt obligated to come and make a personal appearance.
Thank you, DJ Seaweed. Has DJ Seaweed confirmed yet?
You know what? He no, but he invited or he said he wants to come, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm working on the outline for the evening. I'm sure we can like figure out a DJ booth situation, and so I just need to button it up with the venue and then make sure.
Coming to dance to some of DJ Seaweed's #1 hits would be worth the price of admission alone.
He did also make me a graphic, which is the Beavis and Butthead graphic with you and
Sent it to
I.
me too. It
Okay,
is genius. Yeah.
so I'm
Just
gonna
been holding it because I want to use it somewhere really good.
well, I think I'm gonna get stickers printed, and those will only be available at the live show. The
Perfect.
Beavis and Butthead version of us. So look forward to that. The Belly Up. It is January 21st. It's a Tuesday night. Doors open at 7. It'll be a show from 8 to 10. The concept is talk story with Rusty as the center point, and then Taylor Knox is going to be there to share stories, and JoJo Roper, who's coming off of crazy run of swell in Hawaii and Mavericks.
You know who also might hit the stage with a little bit of cajoling?
Who?
One Circe Wallace was Taylor Knox's agent during his rusty years. So we could get maybe some business details.
I had no idea.
Yeah. She was Tay Knox's agent during his peak, or not his peak, but during, yeah, his glory years, we'll call them.
That's incredible. That was
Yeah,
gotta had to have been early in her career.
it was. Yeah, Circe Wallace had the surf roster back in the day. She had Taj, she had Tay Knox. I can't remember who else, but she had like a glittering portfolio of surfers.
Well, maybe you can provide some insights then into natural selection. They've started to announce the surfers that are invited to the event, which I think is taking place in March.
Yes.
I saw Michael February was Coco Ho on that
Mm-hmm.
list. Who
Mm-hmm.
else?
I can't remember. You probably know more than me. I mean, you don't,
Well,
but
well, let me
I,
ask, do you know
yeah,
what are the criteria for the invites, or is there one?
I think it was like honest to goodness, interesting surfers, like parent, like making a, I don't know, like a omakase of surfers, right? Like who would be interesting on this wave? Who would people want to see? I mean, this was my chirping from the peanut gallery over people's shoulders during the natural selection, meetings or whatever. My like I rarely raise my voice, or probably am more rarely listened to. But my whole thing is, I've said it on the show. I don't understand why surf contests have to be like this major league, minor league kind of thing where you come up through the ranks and then, that
Yeah.
never or rarely delivers the most interesting surfers. Who are the interesting surfers that you want to see? Personality wise, style wise, story wise. What are the various aspects that make a surfer interesting? Throw them together and see. So I think that's what the selection process is. It's who's interesting, who would pair well together and be a good show on this wave.
So Kylie Vost, in addition to Coco Ho and Michael February, Aton Osborne, Noah Beschen, and Mila Brown
Yes.
are the current six. I'm sure there will be more added. I've got to say, Noah Beschen, in any other era of surfing, or let's say in the heyday 10 years ago, he would be paid $1 million and he would be the next John Florence. The
Major
clip
star.
the clips that he puts out are just absolutely mind-blowing and like nobody really cares. It
I
kind
mean,
of
here
comes and goes so quick.
here's the thing, like with I think surf or a cross action sport today, right? Like of course the industry cratered, I think with for it's been cratering forever, but the really cratered when ABG bought every single brand, turned them into one brand, and they're just a giant mess, right? So sponsorship money in terms of the big what used to pay surfer, snowboarder, skateboarders bills is essentially gone. But you have someone like Noah who not only rips, not only is from, and has a famous surfing father that everybody knows, not only is model good looking, like if this doesn't work or isn't working, and not that not that he's not, making his living as a professional surfer, but you're exactly right. Would have been in times past and a decade ago, would have been banking well over $1 million a year.
Totally. Yeah, he has sponsors. I think he's with Tenore. Um, transitioning over from Ruka, but it's like he's probably not making that much money, you
No,
know?
no, nobody is.
No.
Yeah,
And not only does he rip, like you said, he charges as well.
yeah,
So he's got like the full package. Um, Speaking of which, Aloe, I don't know if it's Alo Slebir or Slabir.
yeah.
I'm gonna say Alo Slabir.
Okay.
The Santa
Slay.
Cruz.
He definitely slays.
Well, somebody who knows him sent me the proper pronunciation, and then I forgot it. So um, I need to make better notes. Alo Slabir, 23-year-old Santa Cruz surfer. He's a tow team partner with Luca Padua, who does your Laird Hamilton workouts. Um, and he's been charging Mavericks for years. I think both of them have been really on the radar for a couple of winters in a row. But this Christmas swell that was massive from through all the Pacific, from the Eddie event to Mavericks, he's riding what people are calling the biggest wave. And the Mavericks, I forget who, but the Mavericks Water Patrol or Coast
Yeah.
Guard, something, um, made an attempt at measuring it, and they came up with the number 108 feet. So a
The
100-foot wave has been surfed unofficially.
it's funny with, I mean, we've poked fun, I think, at big wave measurement. Like, how do you get the 108 feet versus 109 feet when something is that big? All that aside, this one I saw it and was like, that's a 100-foot wave. It was the first time that I think I have seen a wave surfed, and just that's a 100-foot wave, right? Like all the Guinness Book of World Record ones and all the big waves. Oh, 100-foot wave, 100-foot wave. I'm like, yeah, but is it? Like, I don't know. How do you know that's 100 feet? This one is like, oh yeah, that's 100 plus for sure. Like, I don't know what the plus is, but that is definitely 100 feet.
For me, I feel like 10, 20 years ago, I thought it was 100 feet. Like if you just throw your surfing knowledge or surf IQ aside and just look at the 6-foot human being and look at the height of the wave, that's 100 feet or it's more than 100 feet. But now that what you know about surfing and trying to apply whatever Hawaiian measurement is versus California measurement, then I tamper all my guesses back and I try to be very conservative. But that one, I think objectively by any measuring standard qualifies. And the other thing that's crazy about it is the girthiness of it. Like you can make the call or the claim that like Nazare is a mush burger, and so that taller wave at Nazare isn't as packs doesn't pack as much of a punch as a wave at Waimea or Jaws or anywhere else. But this one is objectively, it's like a barreling 100-footer,
Yes. I
basically.
mean, I was gonna say about like I've made the claim about Nazare before that it's a burger and heard from many people who surf it that no, it is not. It is an insanely powerful, crazily dangerous wave. But I think Nazare, just the slope of the trough at the
Yeah.
end makes it difficult to, okay, so where do you start your measurement, right? This
Yeah.
one looks from every angle I've seen straight up and down, basically.
Even if you're not getting out into that trough that's kind of sloping off the bottom and you just measure it from where it's actually like doubling up, that's still 100 foot on
Yeah.
that part of the Mavericks wave. I'm looking at it right now on my phone.
Yeah.
So it's like if you then add on the bottom trough that's sloping down, you would come up with an even bigger number. But to me, measurement aside, it seems to be the biggest, gnarliest wave that I've seen ridden.
It's the one, yeah, by far. Like again, we've been seeing big waves and claims of 100-foot wave or biggest wave ever or et cetera, et cetera for, I mean, for as long as I can remember looking at surf magazines. But this one, the second I looked at it, a lot of them you look at them and think, oh, that's impressive or that's a big wave. But like this one, it's like, oh yeah, biggest wave I've ever seen surfed.
I know. Um, it's incredible too that like this swell was obviously bigger than a lot of swells that we've had in, I don't know, the last 5+ years or winters. And it's incredible how many people are equipped to ride this style of surf. When you look at the Eddie and the names on the Eddie list that I didn't even know, I
Yeah.
follow surfing pretty closely and I don't know some of those guys' names or girls. And then you go over to Jaws and it's people making incredible rides that would have been the ride of the winter 5 years ago. And they're no name people. And there's 5 of them on a set, any given set. They're making crazy drops, pulling in, getting crazy, if not barreled, crazy pocket rides, like in a critical position, making it out to the shoulder. Then the next wave, there's another person. And it's not just Albie Layer and the people you know. It's like random, not randoms, but people whose names you don't know. And by the way, this is why I brought him up, Alo Slebir, sponsorless. I don't
Yeah.
think Alo has sponsors.
Had you ever heard Alo's name before this?
Last winter, I saw a clip or two and it was like, oh, these are the young guys doing it at Mavericks now. But I didn't even remember his name, you know,
Yeah, I mean that
or I didn't commit it to memory.
it's crazy to me that you not crazy, but just the amount of money this takes, the amount of training this takes, the amount of time, energy, like this has to be your life essentially. And the fact that these guys can do it purely for the love of doing it, not for, well, I hope I bag a clip or I hope I ride the biggest wave ever surfed and, get some notoriety. These guys aren't doing it for or it doesn't seem from my perspective because there's no outlet really, right? Like, so what? So you get featured on the inertia for riding a big wave. What's that going to get you? But like, there's no, benefit to doing this other than personal, like you're conquering your own Everest.
Personal glory,
Yeah, which is
which
epic.
which is kind of the best. That is the benefit of the reset of the surf industry. Is I don't know that we would necessarily have this type of core performance going down if this guy got $100,000 thrown at him when he was 16 years old.
Yeah.
I think I mean, it's been proven, I think, to a certain degree that that actually erodes drive. It diffuses interest. It just muddies everything. When you're 16 years old and you start getting paid tons of money and you have handlers who are making sure that you have the right protein smoothie in the morning, like doing it on your own, having the grit and paying for it on your own, working a real job and still having to show up allows you to be, it just trains you to be put yourself in the exact right position on the exact right day and go for it without holding back.
Man, what does Aloe do for work? Do you know?
I don't know.
Hmm. Construction. I'm gonna get yes.
Yeah. I mean, I should just reach out and ask. might be willing to have a conversation about it. Um, so that was big in surf news this week. I got another message that I think ties directly into everything that we are discussing. This came from a listener who you and I have met at the boardroom show a handful of times named Alejandro. And he said, I'm convinced that unless you have a parent slash family that surfs or accepts it, that becoming a top surfer is impossible now. Caitlin Simmers, Victor Bernardo, Bryce Young, Noah Dean, The Hose, Ethan Ewing, Colapintos, Medina, Florence, Robinson, Dora. Damn. And I would throw Noah Beschen into this conversation. The list can go on, but just think about it. I can't think of any top young top level surfer that doesn't come from a surf family or background of some sort.
I mean, totally true. I think the talent level has gotten such, and this is true again across the extreme sport or the board sliding, from snowboarding to skateboarding too. There's absolutely no way. Not, I mean, skate is different. I think you can get in, but you have to. The talent level is so high that you have to basically be a prodigy or have prodigy level talent in order to crack in at this point. You can't just go in and goof around. Like I would imagine Kelly Slater is an outlier because I think he is a surf or was a surf prodigy, became a surf genius, undeniably, right? But I think even if young Kelly came up today, he would have a hard time turning heads.
Yeah, I think there is going to be an outlier, but the Sierra Kerr's exposure to quality surf or Noah Beschen's exposure to quality surf under the guidance of an actual professional is just, like how do you compete with that?
Yeah, even if you have all the talent in the world, like I mean, I reckon there'll be one. There'll always be an Italo Ferreira who just has the thing, learned how to ride on a cooler lid, uh,
That's the
and
outlier.
you could take that dude and throw him in the box, and day one, first wave on the box, he'll like bag something epic just based purely on animal talent. But yeah, there'll be an outlier like that, but there's going to be no kind of middle, like your local ripper from, your local beach who's really good, best at your local, that kid is finished, which is parents should maybe take note of that. If your
For
kid
sure.
rips and you think maybe he's got something, man, I see the talent level across, again, the action sports, and you literally have to be prodigy level talent with genius level ceiling in order to crack it.
The other thing is living on a coast almost anywhere in the world has now gotten so exorbitantly expensive that it's going to limit your exposure. If you're not wealthy and you don't have direct access to the coast, um, you're gonna not be able to surf every single day. And then, even if you do live, let's say here in Southern California, these aren't great waves. And so Sierra Kerr jumping on, going on 10 surf trips a year to tropical barreling powerful surf is going to give her an upper hand over everybody else. And there's not just one Sierra Kerr, by the way. There's a ton of them now. So exposure and tutelage is going to beat almost anybody.
I wonder if a parent of a young, talented child wanted to hedge, if the best hedge would be move next to a wave pool, surf that wave pool, have your kids surf that wave pool like 8 hours a day, and hope that at some point in the future there will be a wave pool kind of tour that develops as, a bunch like now there's so many wave pools popping up where somebody will figure out, okay, we're gonna have, the tour will be Waco, we'll do some different tech, pool techs, we'll have a Kelly pool on there. We'll have what whatever surf lock. We'll have blah 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 and do a tour where you could have a pool trained kid who could do preternaturally crazy things in a pool environment.
I can't imagine that ever happening.
A pool tour.
Well, I can imagine somebody trying it. I can't imagine it having traction.
I mean,
I,
I could
it's not
see.
that it's not that interesting to watch like a full season of.
I don't
Like
think it would
watching
be.
one stab high event is enough.
I don't think it would be for broadcast per se. I think it would be like you get the pool festival like environment. You have music. You have, it's an event, and it's a live event where you sell tickets, and we'll pay the surfers a decent purse from the door, basically.
Yeah, it's novelty. It's like when you're at a ski slope and they put the little pool of water and people come down the slope and they try to skim across the water and everybody's
Yeah.
drinking beer on the sidelines,
Yeah.
waiting, hoping that somebody eats crap in the
Yes.
water. That's the equivalent, you
It'd
know?
be it'd be a version of that. But again, there is no way, I don't think, if you have a kid who's really good at surfing, who's like best on his surf team, if you don't look at that kid and say this kid is a prodigy on his way to a genius, then you should say, kid, let's think about other things for your future. Love to surf, enjoy it, but let's think about your future.
Pick up those
Plastics.
golf
Yeah.
clubs over there. You got a better shot at that.
Yep.
And the lowest paid PGA golfer makes more than the highest paid surfer, by
Oh,
the
by
way.
by far.
Okay. Everybody's favorite segment. Don't say gay.
It's really expand like this one, the of course we love and cherish Kook and Curren, but Kook and Curren, I feel, does at some point we will reach the last book on Kook and Curren. It has a ending date because I mean, I guess pros will continue to do stuff. We can add one or two a year at some
Yeah.
point, but Don't Say Gay is just expanding like the universe.
Well, I didn't think we could beat wife beater,
Yeah, wife pleaser.
wife pleaser, but we've today's submission is pretty solid. This came from a listener, Wiggr.
Oh man. Yeah,
Wiggr.
this one is a straight cancel.
Just to confirm, the word that I am saying is Wiggr, Wiggr, and this refers to a white person trying to act like a black person. Came out of, I'm going to say, early 2000s, late 90s. I think Eminem really ushered this moment in.
It might have even been, my memory might be faltering here, but it might even have been Vanilla Ice.
You're right.
I think was the first one that I ever heard the term presented with Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. That
Yeah.
exemplifies it. So I don't hear this word very often anymore, but then again, I'm not in high school, so I think that's where the word really had its most usage. Um, how do you feel about the word, and will you be saying it? Will you be teaching your daughter?
Thankfully, I think on a lot of our Don't Say Gay, there's a lot of debate over it, which is what makes it good. We have to discuss it. You and I have to bounce it back and forth in order to find, okay, is this offensive or not? I think this one is either all black or all white out of the gate, which is a a word that cannot be said. A word that is like yeah, canceled.
Why?
Uh I mean the direct reference, I think white people trying to backdoor the N word, we will call it, to find a way to kind of say it, I think has been a low-key white pastime for a while, right? Like when you're rapping along to your favorite song, can you end it with an A? Is
Right.
that acceptable? Because I'm not saying it.
Yeah.
They're saying it. I'm just rapping, all of this. And I would throw Wiggr right directly into that category is I'll give it this. A black person can say it all he wants. A black person can call a white
Well,
person that all he wants. A white person cannot use the word at all just because it's too close.
see, that's why I asked the obvious question is why cancel it? Because it was never white people using this term anyways.
I think it
And
was. I think it was white people calling other white people this too, right? Oh, look at
I,
that in class. Look at the kid in class who's talking that way.
I think I mean, I don't know, maybe in my exposure to it, it was much more black people making fun of white people who are appropriating their culture. That's the way that it always came across to me. And as a white person, I never was offended. I was never called a wigger, but I was never offended at the slur against my fellow white person. Like I wasn't in defense of the white person being called that. To me, it was always just funny. And so in this scenario, even though you're right, this word is so adjacent to an offensive word, it nobody was offended by it, I don't think.
But
Unless maybe the wigger themselves took umbrage.
I don't think so. I think that, but that's the problem with being a cisgendered white male is we don't get offended by anything because we've never been a subjected class or not in hundreds of years. And so we can say, who cares about everything, right? Don't like stop being a baby. It's just words. Sticks and stones will break my
Yeah,
bones.
yeah,
Words
yeah.
will never hurt me. Uh, Easy for us to say, right? But I think so again, I'm not worried that the white person who is acting the white rapper, I'm not concerned about their feelings at all. I am concerned about, okay, is the black person, with this so adjacent that it's just too close to these muddy waters of a word that truly is offensive, that, the representation of slavery and I mean, actual slavery, the actual owning of human beings that we actually did in this country and many countries. But all of this is like anything that touches that, I think, can't do it. Can't do it anymore.
Do you think that there is a black person alive who was offended ever by the use of the term wigger?
I'm for sure. I think for sure a black person would say, you are taking my deep, deep, deep historical pain and using it to describe Vanilla Ice.
I
I
don't think
think
they
that
say, I don't know of anybody who said that.
I feel that
If I'm correct that the joke came from that community, rap community, black rap community was using this term to make fun, and that's where the joke was started, I think that they're in on the joke.
But except for was there black people where you went to high school,
It was a minority population for sure.
but you had some.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had one half black kid during my entire like probably elementary school through high school run. One in
Wow.
that period. Uh, where the term got bandied about was rednecks calling the kid, the kids who liked rap that. And so it was white on white slur, but also them being the redneck being racist by calling them
So
that.
so this is exactly where we are our personal experiences with this word are totally different. And that's where we're both taking a different side on it because you're inclined to throw it out immediately. I'm inclined to keep it. But that's the reason why, right there.
Would you dare put this on Instagram as a poll?
No.
Yeah. See, so there, to me, the little background voice, if you don't put it on Instagram as a poll, that
Uh,
means you think that it might be offensive. And
it's, I'm going to push back on that too, because each platform has its own kind of thing or tone, or whatever, or culture, I should say. And so on this show, if somebody's listening now 50 minutes in, they understand the context that we're now having this portion of the conversation in, and they've opted in. If you just take it out of context, put it on Instagram, and it gets fed to somebody who didn't opt in, totally different experience.
you could also, though, take this segment out without somebody opting in and put it on X, and people would like it on X.
That's true. Different culture there too. And by the way, I have somebody else helping me and running Instagram for me. So, and somebody doing video editing. The message to them is please do not use this portion of the show to use as our Instagram teaser for this episode. It would be a real kick in the
Ooh,
yeah.
it would be a kick.
But
Real good one though. It's good to have a spicy one because, and again, call in because I feel this one is like cancelable. Should have been canceled years ago. I haven't heard it in years, so maybe it did get canceled. But I feel this one is like actually offensive. A lot of these I don't think are actually offensive, and I try to figure out how they might be. Like Indian Giver. Somebody hit me with Indian Giver, which is another good one that we need to get to at some point. But yeah, like Indian Giver is probably pretty offensive too. But
that one also got canceled a long time ago.
is the Indian Giver one real quick? I can't remember. I think I looked at the etymology at some point, but is it that we gave to the Indians and stole back? Like we gave them land and said, haha, and took it back? Is
That's
that, or is
exactly
it
what it is.
okay? Exactly. Yeah. So in that one, it's the bad joke is on white man.
Yeah. The when white people came over and started just pushing them west, like, hey, go stay on this land, and then realized we needed more west. We came west and then kicked them off the land again until they ended up in very barren, unfarmable, crappy locations.
And then even that, then when that has oil under it, it's like, oh, the crappiest place we could have put you. Move
Yeah.
on from here.
Yeah, exactly. So Indian Giver is out. Also, sitting Indian style, kids aren't allowed to do anymore. Now they sit crisscross applesauce.
Crisscross applesauce is so stupid.
I
And
know.
that, I mean, we should just, because I think is sitting Indian style. I'm confused now. Is that a reference to Native American or is that a reference to Indians?
Wow. Great
Right?
question. Great question. In my mind of stereotypes, both
I mean, of
people
course,
sit
because
that way.
but I feel that a Hindu
Yeah. Yeah.
Indian uh sits, like yogi style,
They
which
sit that way. Yeah.
but and I don't know that Native Americans, is that like part of their culture to sit with their legs crossed? I see them depicted, I suppose, in old
But
cowboy movies that way.
even like the Land O'Lakes Indian lady on, the
You're
branding of that
exactly right.
product, I think she's sitting that way.
Man, I mean, I feel we could spin off a whole podcast just on Don't Say Gay.
We really could. We need to finish up with Wiggr though, because the final
Yes.
question that we usually come to is if we are going to banish it, we have to have a replacement word.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
What is the crisscross applesauce of Wiggr?
uh oh, yeah, what?
And by the way, your replacement is supposed to be non-offensive. So good luck with that.
Man. Uh because okay, so first, is it's fully okay for a white person to uh or is it okay for a white person to not only identify with Black culture, but wear Black culture, speak that way, act that way, all of it? At the outset, we're going to say that's okay, right?
Sure. I mean, yeah, if that's where you were raised or how you were raised and that's
Yeah,
your
it's not, we're
influence,
going to
then
say
that
that is
is what
not
it is.
cultural appropriation. I mean, there's a point of that where it becomes cultural appropriation. Like, what was her name? Rachel, remember her?
Ray gun?
No, she was Rachel, or I think she
Oh,
was president of the
yes.
NCAACP or something, president of a major Black organization, and had presented Black forever and told people she was, and had 0% Black in her, was not Black.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, so that is cancelable, right? To present as something or to tell people you are something, but to love the culture and, like the cultural appropriation line, we'll say, is somewhere there. But let's say this is not offensive for white people to do this. So a white person who enjoys acting Black culture or is Black culture, what are they called? They're called whack. They're called uh man, I'm gonna have to think on this one. Do you have one out of the gate?
No, no, dude. I'm afraid to even touch it.
Yeah.
White,
Uh
I mean, white cultural appropriating Black culture. There's an acronym.
white person.
Appropriating, WA.
Except I don't know that they're appropriating necessarily. Like the difference between appropriation and appreciation is a
Yeah,
real fuzzy line,
but
right?
they both start with A.
They
If
do.
we're doing an acronym.
White person, WP, white appreciation, Black culture, WABC.
We're gonna have to workshop this one. This will
We
also
are,
be
we
an
are.
Instagram poll.
Any help is much, yeah, much needed.
Yeah. Well, can't say we got to the bottom of that one. I'm still gonna go. I'm not ready to throw this baby out with the bathwater yet. So you cancel Wiggr. I'm keeping Wiggr in our lexicon.
Okay. Okay.
I'm
Wow.
gonna
Bold.
I'm gonna it's a bold choice. And I've stated the reasons why. I think, yeah, the
You think
joke
it's
was,
created by Black people to fun make white people?
and it's funny.
Yeah.
I
Man,
mean,
it used to be funny.
yeah. Well, all right. We will stay divided on that one. Adults falling. Do you want to do an adults falling? How do we segue into
I
adults
think
falling?
easily. I think very easily.
Greetings, guys. Been meaning to send this one over for a bit and actually thought my window had closed until I heard you mention to keep sending the adult falling down stories in. So here's the data. I'm a 53-year-old boat mechanic from Ventura. I'm 6 foot tall and about 200 pounds. About a year ago, I was at work wrenching away on a job when far off in the distance, I could hear that old familiar sound that sends kids the world over into an absolute frenzy. That's right, the ice cream man. Now, I don't know how things are in your town, but in my neighborhood, the ice cream man is called Mr. Softy. This isn't your run of the mill ice cream truck. This guy doles out soft serve ice creams, milkshakes, malts, root beer floats, banana splits, you name it, they are the bomb. I'm a sucker for a chocolate malt, so of course I drop my tools and head out the door. As soon as I exit my work bay, I see a couple of younger coworkers in their early 20s heading the same way. They're about 40 yards ahead of me already, and I tell myself, no effing way these kids are going to get a jump on me to the ice cream truck. So I decide to take off running. I'm talking full speed, fast as you can, booking it. I can't even remember the last time I ran as fast as I could, but I was all in. I blast past them at full stride, not even saying a word. As I pass one of them goes, "Woo, there goes Jay. Look at him go." Damn, I think the old man moving quick and correct. As just as I'm leaving the lot and I head towards the sidewalk, I kick the metal track that our front gate runs on. This sends my upper body forward and downward while my lower body is trying to catch up with the forward momentum. It's all very slow motion at this point. I get 3 big steps in before I realize there's no recovering from this. I am going to slam. Since I've got an old injury from dislocating my shoulder, I've conditioned myself to tuck my arm and shoulders in towards my body to prevent that from happening. So that's exactly what I do. Tuck in and prepare for impact. I end up doing a full shoulder drive into the sidewalk, jamming my arm into my rib cage, sliding and finally coming to a stop in a heap in the middle of the sidewalk. Grown ass man laid out on the sidewalk. I'm grasping for air because I almost knocked the wind out of me, and I roll over to gather myself. When I do, my younger coworkers have finally arrived and they're tripping out, asking, "Dude, you just slammed so hard." I sit up and I see some other people watching from across the street as well. Physically, I'm hurting, but my pride has taken the biggest hit of all. I eventually pick myself up with the help of my coworkers and I limp my way around the corner to Mr. Softy, where I get to the front of the line and get a large chocolate malt. My hurt ribs keep me out of the water for about a month, but the hit to my pride lingers on. That's my adult falling down stories. Thanks, guys. Do work. Jaybird from Ventura.
Jay, that is my favorite story yet. The fact that you were running to an ice cream truck and slammed makes it that much better.
A 53-year-old man running full speed to an ice cream truck is the greatest premise of
I
any
mean,
story.
absolutely. I don't know how there's Mr. Like, I know Mr. Softy from New York. I don't know. Some genius in Ventura must have thought, the ice cream trucks rolling around where you get like crap bottle rockets or whatever they're called, the frozen junk. That's all garbage. I'm going straight Mr. Softy. I think if I recall from my research, Mr. Softy has 0% dairy in it.
Mm,
Like and not in a healthy way, that it's a pure chemical creation.
got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And it makes sense too that the dude in Ventura, he knows Mr. Softy in New York is never going to come out and find him. It's not like he bought into the franchise. He just
No,
realized I can just do a version of this, call it the same thing. They're never going to chase me down legally.
no, nobody's ever going to know one thing about me rolling around Ventura, the Ventura Harbors until
Exactly.
now. Until
Exactly.
now. Thanks, Jay.
Um, the so I love this story as well. The three lumbering steps trying to catch, like he worded it perfectly. Your upper body momentum has shifted forward, and your brain tells yourself, my lower body, if I take a large step, will get centered over the upper body.
My upper
And
body
at,
will stop at some point.
and after three lumbering steps, realizing, nope, can't catch up. The forward mass has gone too far. So I'm going to just create a strategy for going in.
I know exactly like I have, excuse me, shoulder dislocation too. And so I would do the same thing, right? You do not put your hand out. That's how I dislocated it the first time. So going in basically knowing I gotta take this fall with my face, and then trying to figure out how not to do that while also not using your arms is a real mental calculus in this moment of tumble.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, when was the last time you ran full speed?
That's the funny thing too. I think we could have a whole other segment of adults running flat out, where I think the last time I ran full speed was racing kids at a playground. And this was a couple years ago. And I think that I felt the tweak in my hamstring and thought, I'm going to pull this thing. And so slowed down. And I think it was sore for a couple days, but I didn't actually pull it. But that worried me so much. Uh, it might have even started my running, like where now I feel I could go, not, I could go full on and not die because I run regularly, but still it's hard to go full on out. If you're old, you are begging for something to pop real quick unless you are conditioned to kind of run.
The only way around this is if you were on your regular run and mid jog, you decided to go up to full speed and then slow back down to a jog. But there's no way you start from zero, hit a sprint, and then stop.
It's Jay. I mean, Jay, this was a Pulitzer Prize worthy essay that Jay wrote, because that too, of when you're first doing it, thinking, I can't remember the last time I did this. You're like, I'm running, I'm flying, I'm like the birds. And then just it ends in disaster 10 times out of 10. No adult who is not a regular runner, has gone into 0 to full sprint and survived.
Nope. Totally
No,
agree. It doesn't
nobody,
happen.
nobody
And if
has done
and
it
if
and got like, woo.
the other thing is the only reason it ever happens is for some stupid game. Like Ice Cream Man, that's motivating the run, or we should have a race right now.
Exactly.
And that's stupid too. Like, there's no reason you should actually be doing. If your kid was about to get hit by a car, maybe superhuman strength could take over and you could execute the run in that moment. But that's so rare. It's only drunk people or ice cream chasers coming up with a reason to do it.
I'm telling you, just you wait. Just you wait. Austin and his buddies come 6 years are going to be standing around. So you have like 6 more years of atrophy to build up here. They're going to be standing around. They're going to say, like, we can beat you. And your pride is going to say, no, you can't. They're going to be just young enough because at some point you say, yep, you got me. Like I've thrown in the towel on the speed. I'll still beat you physically, but throwing in the towel on the speed. But there'll be a point where he's still young enough and his buddies are young enough where you'll be like, no, not yet, young man. Just get ready for something pulled or something. Get ready for a hospital stay after that.
So similar to that, Austin rides his little scooter, like a razor scooter thing. I talked Lauren into racing him.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh, you or she's
ru-
going to race him.
she was the runner. We already did it. It was like a couple months ago where he's outside doing his thing. And I was like, and he's like, chase me, or something like that. And so she was just chasing him around playfully. And I was like, let's see who could win in a race. And so she was wise enough to not go full sprint and he ended up winning the race. But in her mind, initially, she was committed to doing it. And as soon as they took off, I think she realized, like, if I don't slow my momentum down into a trot,
I'm
this isn't
tumbling.
gonna, this, I'm tumbling. So she gave
Yeah.
it like 5 seconds of full takeoff and then was just like, I'm just going to kind of let him go. And
Yeah.
I have the whole thing on video too, because I was going to capture the fall if it happened.
I mean, that is epic. And it's so like that calculus also, I've had that exact in my brain of you ain't taking me, punk. And then
Yeah.
realize it, like running it over, like, yeah, I could beat him. I could beat him. But it will like 9 out of 10 chance that it's not good for me.
The other thing is, if there is video that exists, um, it's not a graceful running full sprint is not a graceful look for anybody.
Nope.
Like,
Nope.
I mean, maybe for Olympic runners, they can pull it off. They keep a
Trained sprinters
stoic,
can.
yeah, stoic face.
Yep.
But for you and I, we're going to be making the weirdest faces in the world, jiggly fat in places you didn't know you had it. Like, it's
Arms,
mind
arms and legs all akimbo, like
totally.
completely out of whack. Come
Yeah.
like zero aerodynamics, zero grace, nothing but like energy being exerted stupidly.
You do not want Brad Gerlach to review the video footage of your running because he will shame you on your terrible form.
Brad should though. Brad should have a sub tier in the wave key that also helps adults run.
Exactly. Speaking of Kook and Curren, we have a new submission.
Epic.
I know.
Hey, Chris from Maine calling in for the grit. I've got a Kook and Curren for you. Not checking the waves. Feel like only Kooks go to the beach without checking the waves, and only Currens go to the beach without checking the waves. Work.
It's a pretty solid submission.
I want to love it, except I feel that there are a lot of intermediate surfers who go to the beach with family because it's sunny without checking the waves and bring a surfboard just in case.
Ooh.
Do you ever do this?
Yeah, but
You've checked the
once,
waves first.
well, I'm not, maybe not on Surfline. Like, look, if it's just a family day at the beach, I'm in your premise, family Sunday, we're going to the beach no matter what.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll bring a surfboard. But the moment I lay eyes on the beach, I'm scanning for where the sandbar is. I'm like, oh, it's better up the beach that way. You know what? Let's actually park over there instead of over here so that I can be in front of the waves.
Are you saying the pro is, but in this scenario, is the pro going to the beach and not checking the waves because he's in a heat or because he just knows, or why is the pro not checking the waves?
So I think that Tom Curren is going to go surf no matter what.
That's true. I mean, this would be a specific Kook, exactly to the name of the segment. This would be a Kook or Tom Curren.
Yeah. I think it's just, Curren's got the day, he's got no obligations today. It doesn't even matter whether it's 1 foot or 20 feet. He's going. And then if he shows up and it's 1 foot, he's like, sweet, I'm body surfing. And if it's 20 feet, he's out there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it's even,
It,
I will say, on Family Beach Day, if I'm going no matter what, I've still checked the waves. Like, I want to
exactly.
know,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I've checked the waves no matter what.
For sure. 100%. You're right. Yeah. Any intermediate surfer, regardless of whether they're going to the beach or not, would still check in.
That's 100% true. Yeah, I'm gonna put this one on. I would like a little listener feedback on this one, but I feel pretty good about it. I didn't feel good out of the gate, but now I'm feeling good.
See, I felt good out of the gate because I've checked the waves, even on days I'm not surfing, ever since I hit, I mean, low, 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 low intermediate status.
Yes.
Like very, very early on in the learning curve, checking the waves became part of just the ritual of doing it. And so, but I also remember jumping on the bus to get to the beach when I was with a boogie board, not having any clue what the waves are going to be like. So I was a total kook and just showing up and playing at the beach no matter what the waves are doing. Immediately after that, I checked it and I've checked it ever since. But if you're
I
Tom
wonder,
Curren, you get to the point where you're just like, I'm going.
well, I wonder about people too. Like, I think I've shared this story before, but there's a wave down here that's not good. But I still like to surf it occasionally and surfed it bad mostly, or 99% it's not good. Uh, One day I was out and it was firing, and I was like, "What's this?" And out paddles Damien Hobgood right next to me. Hey, bro. Where I wonder if I don't think Damo checked. I think Damo knows. He like wakes up in his current heart and puts a finger to the wind and says, I'm going here today. He didn't check. He just knew that it was going to be, for whatever was happening, knew it was going to be firing.
Yeah, I think that's possible.
Yeah. So okay. I'm gonna say yes on this one.
So I'm going to say yes as well, but I'm opening it up to listeners. If you are an intermediate surfer and don't do any version of checking the waves, call in and let us know.
And by don't do any version, again, not talking just Surfline, not talking weather report. Like, I'm going to say if you go drive down to the beach and look at it and then assess if you're going to surf or not, that is still checking the waves.
Yeah, of course. Or
Yeah.
you assess to figure out where to go elsewhere.
Yes, exactly. That's
checking the
all
waves.
wave checking. That's all we're talking. You pull up into the parking lot, wax your board, head down without laying one eye on the ocean.
I'm talking before even pulling up to the parking lot, you know where you're going to go. Like you're at home and you're just like, I go to this zone, I park right here and I paddle out no matter
Yeah,
what.
that's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
If an intermediate does that, then this deflates.
Okay.
But
And we'll
I
remove
I
it.
don't think an intermediate has ever done that.
I don't think so either. The listener line, I never call out or I never mention what the number is, but it is 760-237-0150. And you can also find that on surfsplendorpodcast.com somewhere. I think the contact section. And then also you can email me surfsplendor@gmail.com, which is the easiest
Please
to remember.
call.
We have a tools to live by that's been sitting here in my notes for weeks and we just never get to it because we talk too much.
We need to help. We need to help
Okay.
somebody out.
All right, this is Tools to Live By presented by VAER Watches, VAER, VAERwatches.com/Surf Splendor. Will save you 15%. These guys outfit the North Shore lifeguards with watches. A bunch of people got them for Christmas. I got DMs from people showing me like the wrist shot, like, hey, dude, look what I didn't know what to tell my family, what to get me. And so I told them a VAER watch and I'm psyched.
Fantastic. I wear mine literally. I've been on such a surf binge. I am 7 days in a row and counting. I think this is the most in a row surf I've done in a while. VAER every single time because I'm perpetually, I shouldn't say, but I need to know what time it is in the water. So I throw my VAER on, knowing what time it is, bang.
I wear mine in the water. I wear it all around. It still looks brand new. This
Yeah.
thing's like over a year old. It's unscratched, brand new. It's surgical grade steel, sapphire crystal, so incredible quality, and looks great. functional, all of it. So go to VAERwatches.com/surfsplendor. And we are going to provide a tool to live by for this listener who wrote in and said, this is for the middle-aged SoCal surfer dad who loves to post their respective intermediate, maybe upper intermediate, and maybe even lower level advanced photos of themselves surfing. I haven't read this one to you, have I?
No.
Okay, cool. I've read it a number of times myself, so I forget what goes on there and what doesn't. He says, I know you've discussed versions of this, using a surf shot as your profile pic or whatever Elo was doing, posting back in the day when he was passing or posing to be ingratiated into our community, but immediately abandoned us when he was banished. As far as off-putting and self-aggrandizing as it is to post photos of yourself, what is really cringy is when the middle-aged surf dad seems to fancy himself some kind of semi-professional surf influencer. This offense includes shout-outs to various well-known surfers in the lineup that day, name-dropping and hashtagging their respective surf brands and photographer, and perhaps the worst, breaking down a certain wave that they rode in the caption, or even giving a freaking diatribe about their entire session. All caps, nobody cares. Pretty sure most of these guys are not sponsored, even if they were once upon a time, and yet they are trying so desperately hard to stay relevant and fit in with the scene of the younger kids at Seaside Reef, Trestles, etc. Please note, I'm in no way talking about the legit middle-aged professionals who absolutely still rip, i.e. Devin Howard and the like. Or now that I think about it, maybe just Devin Howard because he's a singular exception. No, I mean the friends of them who are professional adjacent to some degree, but still see themselves through the blurry lens of inflated egos. Like I said, it's all rather cringe and just comes off as pretentious and pretending. Just drink a coffee, paddle out, get a couple boggy cutbacks in, don't post it, do it again tomorrow. And as always, keep work. I digress. Luke in Carlsbad.
Thank you, Luke. Absolutely true. I think nobody cares. Nobody cares about, there's too much good content out there. Let's just be quite frank. And let's also be quite frank. It's undignified. It's undignified for a middle-aged man to be doing this kind of behavior. I'm going to say if you are a young kid at Carlsbad High School, post all the surf shots you want, have at it. You'll learn later that it's not the best look unless you're absolutely slaying, but you got to go through that process. You have to live that yourself. But for you middle-aged man, you've lived that. Stop doing it. It is not cool.
For me, this becomes a question of how many photos can you post before it morphs into this. Like, we've all seen it happen where I don't know, you go on a surf trip, let's say, or you've even felt inclined. You go on a surf trip and you get a photo of yourself, maybe you post that. But if your feed morphs into, now there's more photos of you surfing than there is of your family or whatever, that's where ego, I think, has taken over. And that's the distasteful part about it.
This is a tool to live by. I'm going to put an easy, hard number on it. You get 3 a year. You get 3 surf shots per year. And so that'll make you, if you're so inclined to post a surf shot, really think, is this one going to be one of my 3?
3 is a great number, but that depends how many other posts you're doing a year. If
Sure.
you're doing,
I mean, if
12
you got nothing,
total posts a year, 3 is a bit much.
That's true. I mean, it has to be
a ratio.
Okay, so 2 rules to live by here. This. You get 3 a year, unless or it has to be at a 1. I think you're exactly right. It has to be at a 1 to 12 ratio.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah.
There's also a distinction here that I think is worth noting. I actually want to watch Devin Howard surf.
Yes.
I want to watch Brett Simpson surf my local beach to see how he's doing it, because guess what? I'm taking notes. That is the reason why I'm watching. So by all means, Devin, go 90% surfing posts. Yeah,
more Devin.
Exactly.
More Brett.
But if you are Kevin Miller and you post a photo of yourself from a trip, I'm going to let you get away with that. I'm not taking notes when I see your post, but I like that you had a good time on your trip. So I'm going to look and I'm going to appreciate that one photo. 1 of 12 in your posts.
And not 1 of 12. Sorry. The 1 of 12 is only the ratio if you only have 12 photos on your Instagram. You don't get one of 12 normal. You get 3. If you have more than, I'm going to say, if you post more than 20 times a year, then you get, I'm going to say if you post more than 30 times a year, then you get 3.
Yeah. And I'm going to like that post, even if I'm not taking notes from your style. You pointed your board towards 2:00. Wasn't vert, but you were getting it. You were having a good time on your trip. So I can appreciate that you had fun, but
That's it.
let's
That's what you're
not.
appreciating. You're not appreciating the surfing in any way, shape, or form. You are
Exactly.
appreciating the fact, okay, so we got a tough one here though, because we have Kevin Miller and then we have John Brooks, where I will look at a John Brooks photo and say, he's getting pretty barreled. I will appreciate John Brooks's surfing, also appreciating that he's having a good time, but I still don't want to see multiple John Brooks. I only want to see 3 a year, Brooks.
Exactly. Now I have a question for you. Why do we feel so judgmental about this specific thing? Like, I don't think I feel this judgmental about people posting other things, it's
Because
specific to surfing.
because this is what we spend, for better or worse, our entire waking hours thinking about, talking about, writing about, et cetera, et cetera. And not necessarily for love of the thing, right? I mean, of course, we love surfing, but this is whether we chose this career or this career chose us, this is what we do. And so it would be like if we were living, eating, breathing, sleeping, talking, baking, and then somebody kept posting crappy versions of the cake they were baking, right? We'd
Yeah.
be like, stop, no more. If you're not an expert baker, don't want to see it, and give them the same exact advice of you get 3 crap cake pictures a year. That's it, right? Like, and so I think it is purely related to our immersion in it.
Okay, good. I was worried it was a reflection of my mental health.
No,
Being super judgmental.
no, I think it would be if we were talking about any other thing, I feel this rule would still hold. You don't want to see bad versions of a thing you love or a thing you're have to look at all the time. It's offensive. It's more offensive to you and I because we're in this all the time, right? And so flipping through and seeing stinking Kevin Miller bogging is, again, I'm glad you're having fun, but you're offending me right now, Kevin Miller. You're making me look at something I would prefer not looking at.
I would like to clarify too. Part of the reason I take umbrage is it's showing, it's the poster, the person posting is revealing something about themselves accidentally. Like, I'm looking at them going, ooh, your ego's taken over a little bit. Like, I need to check you and help you get your ego back in check. Post more photos of your family. That turn was at 2:00. It wasn't at 12:00. Let's not be delusional about your own abilities. So the holding somebody accountable isn't a judgmental thing for me. It's more like, hey, we're friends. I'm your friend, keeping you in check so that you can live your best life.
Because here's a problem with this too. I feel the intermediate, lower intermediate surfer can see a picture of themselves surfing. Their initial reaction will be, ugh, I'm not, this sucks. They'll look at it again and they'll think, this is not so bad. They'll look at it again, think, well, I'm kind of getting barreled. Like, it's almost a barrel shot. They'll look at it again and say, that's a barrel. My back arm is definitely tubed. They'll post it. And they will have worked themselves through a process of complete self delusion, where now they actually think that's a good surf shot. That's why I got posted. And so to keep it real, no, your initial reaction of, ugh, was the right reaction related to that surf shop. And you just posted, ugh, for everyone to see.
Yep. Earmark this audio portion of the show and come back and listen to it anytime you get photos of yourself surfing, just as a reminder.
Kevin Miller.
You start feeling that inclination to post. By the way, I don't think Kevin's ever posted a surf photo of himself. I don't know why he became the guy that we were making fun of. Sorry, Kevin. It is like all family photos. There's no surf photos.
No.
And I like seeing his family photos. So keep
Yeah,
it up, Captain.
keep
All
keep
right.
going.
Well, we've solved it. Thank you, VAER, for your help in this. We appreciate that. And I think that brings us to commercial break. And so we can take a little rest from all of this hard work, and we'll be back with Barrel or Not. I'm going to actually lead us into a call.
Great.
We'll come back from commercial with a call.
David Lee, Chaz, Nick Bravante calling from Silver Beach, New Jersey. Happy New Year. Congratulations on 300 episodes. Calling in, I'm just catching up from the holiday here, going through 299 and 300. Back to 299 and the discussion on the wife beater. I know Chaz was grappling with an alternative. Here in the Northeast, we have a much higher concentration of Italians, I believe, than you do in Southern California. And the wife beater is also often referred to as a Guinea Tee. Now, to Grandpa Bravante, being called a guinea is pretty much as bad or as bad to him as someone of African descent being called the N-word. I don't take it as seriously. I don't think most people do, but just had to put that out there. But wanted to leave it up to you guys. I would think that a ethnic slur is at least a step or two up from one of the bottom third crimes out there. So what say you guys? Guinea Tee, potential for you. Also commonly referred to as just the beater, kind of distancing from the wife part of it. So beater or Guinea Tee, let you guys decide if that's a worthy replacement. Bon voyage.
Forgot about the Guinea Tee.
Okay, so are we going Barrel or Not ethnic slurs? Is that the
No,
Barrel or Not?
that was not the Barrel or Not. No,
Oh,
but
that's
you
a good
can-
barrel. That's a good Barrel or Not, though.
Okay, go with it.
I'm
Lean into
I'm
it.
going full barrel ethnic slur amongst your own people, and I will extend that to amongst your own color. If an Italian gets offended by me, if an Italian American transplant gets offended by me, a English German transplant, for calling him a guinea, have at me. Call me a kraut, call me a whatever what's a bad word, a slur for British folk.
I have
A
no idea.
whatever it is, or red coat, who knows? But like in your general Caucasian ethnicities, have at each other all day long. And I would extend that, if they want, to other groups amongst themselves and or other groups onto white people. Slur white people all you want.
Where, what's the etymology of Guinea? Guinea
I don't know.
Tee.
I'm sure it is a uh I don't know.
Is it got to be a reference to a guinea pig?
No, it would be something specific that Italians say, or an Italian word. Are you gonna look it up? Might be. I'm gonna guess that maybe it's related to. Go way out on a limb here and say it's related to their money.
Their money.
Like maybe it was they call their money guinea or something. Let's
Okay, let me
see.
see.
This is
Wiktionary.
Guinea as it
Wait,
relates to
hold on. The
Italo
Guardian.
Americans.
So the Guardian.co.uk says in American crime movies, Italians are called either guineas or ginnies. I'm not sure the spelling. What's the origin of this derogatory term? Guinea, derogatory term for Italian, was originally Guinea Negro and meant black person mixed ancestry. It was applied to Italians probably because of their dark complexion relative to the Northern Europeans, and after 1911 was occasionally applied to Hispanics and Pacific Islanders as well. Robert De Niro in Goodfellas, the Irish says, the Irishman here to take your guinea's money. I can't. So I don't know why. I still don't understand the origin of it.
So it's guinea what? Guinea fowl? Or what was it
Guinea
called?
Negro.
So
But what's the guinea coming from?
is it guinea like maybe
It's spelled like a guinea pig.
yeah, but maybe we're I don't know, we're black
Okay,
people.
so Guinea on Wiktionary.com says the etymology from Guinea, the early modern name for West Africa.
Yeah.
The coins being made from gold from the region, mostly from the Gold Coast, Ghana, and used for African trade, and the guinea fowl being found there. It's used as an ethnic slur against Italians, may be due to the darker complexion compared to other European descent.
Okay, so it's fairly racist, I suppose, in its etymology. Still, though.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
I'd say
So,
specifically so.
so maybe not Guinea, but Mick and all that. Those are all to have at Kraut, Mick, all those are great.
Interesting.
What about
Oh,
WAP?
WAP. What does
WAP's a
WAP
good one.
stand? What does it stand for?
Without papers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. People are creative at insulting.
They sure are. Especially, I think, early, like those early American immigration days when you had tons of people coming from Europe, I guess more like from Italy, from England, and from Ireland, where they were all going after the same piece of pie. Where I
Yeah.
think that was like a real perfect petri dish for ethnic slur. I don't think we've had ethnic slurs since then.
Well, when I was a kid, it was like four eyes was
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
burn, you know?
Yeah.
That's which is like not even offensive at all. These guys back in the 1800s and early 1900s
Slamming each other.
brought their A game.
We
Jeez.
we got some okay ones in surf, I feel. I feel Kook is pretty dang good as a slur against an outside group.
I what's the etymology of kook?
You've gone through this, haven't you?
I feel like we have. I
We
just
have, yeah.
forget.
Kook, I think it's shit in Hawaiian is K-U-K, if I
Okay.
recall. And
Okay.
I think there is debate about it, but I think I like that one.
Okay. Yeah. Um, this is a barrel or not coming in from a listener, coming in from a child, actually. Wait.
DLS, love that voicemail greeting. This is going to be funny and serious, question mark. My boys and I are sitting here watching Sunday Night Football, and the camera panned to an old man wearing a baseball cap backwards, and he was definitely not pulling that off. So the conversation came up as a barrel or nah. I'm going to pass the phone off to the kids who are voracious listeners to the show because they want to submit their own barrel or nah.
All right, barrel or not, old people wearing baseball caps backwards. I'm going to say no barrel. I think it's uncool.
I wanted to add a little submission to the Don't Say Gay, which is like absolutely my favorite of the segments, and I'm sad that we're not seeing much of it on the show anymore. But you guys have revived it a little bit. So this came up. I was happened to tune into Nathan Florence's YouTube streaming of the finals day on Vans Pipe Masters, which was awesome. I think it was Koa and Eli were sitting there, and a little kid walks by and offers them a bunch of bananas. And they say, "Oh my God, thank you. You're such a legend. You are such a legend." And to me, the use of legend has become just disgustingly overused. Like, a kid dropping off bananas is a really nice kid, but to call them a legend, I think we're diluting the term here a lot. So anyways, the question is, do you get away with calling somebody a legend? Should this be something that is embraced in common vernacular, or is this something that we need to reevaluate and potentially get rid of? Use of the term legend. Chaz, I know that you're a little bit of an overuser of the term legend, in my opinion. But yeah, let us.
The call cut him off. He ran too long.
Man, but a good call
Yeah.
filled with important things to discuss.
Yep, totally agree. I agree. Legend, we've let go a little bit too far, and we need to rein that back in.
No, here's the thing. As an applied linguist, legend now means something different than it did mean 10 years ago. So you let it mean this thing. What we need to do is really put forward or use a new word for legend. We need to replace legend at the top with something different and use legend as it's being used, because you can't stop vernacular. You cannot stop. Nathan Florence is going to call next the kid who brushes sand, wipes his feet before going into the House of Legend. This is Shark has been jumped on Legend. You let it go. You can't rein this back in. This
I'm
is
going with icon.
yeah, we can use something different. And that's what we need to do is you let Legend go. Relegate Legend to it means something different now. Sorry, it used to mean someone exceptional. Now it means somebody doing something sort of okay.
Right. It's unfortunate. I hate to let it go, but you're right. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle at this
Nope.
point.
And I've said it before and I'll say it again. America is English. The English language is one of the only major languages in the world that doesn't have an institute that actually defines what words are okay. Like there's an institute for French, one for Japanese, I do believe. I think one for German, where they accept, a group of people experts decide what language is okay. English does not have one of these, which is why it is kind of a virus, why it takes over, because it can absorb, but it's in what makes English good and universal also means that the people own it. And so Nathan Florence gets to misuse Legend. I get to misuse Legend. And there it goes. You can't fight it. You can't, there's no institute to take it to and say, well, this is no longer allowed. Legend means this. So icon, something else.
Yeah, and we are the institute. The people are the institute as
Yes.
a collective. And so if he were to say, "You're an icon for bringing me those bananas," everybody'd look at him weird and just be like, "What?"
Completely. That was an
Like,
iconic move.
yeah,
It'd
no.
be weird.
What,
Yeah.
idiot? You don't understand our language? No.
Yes, precisely. But
Okay.
Ledge, hey Ledge. But back to the baseball cap backwards, young man. Thank you so much for bringing this. David Lee, do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I agree with the kid. No barrel on the backwards baseball hat. And there is an age where it becomes inappropriate, but I think the age is a lot younger than you might guess. Like he's saying an old man. Sure, it's inappropriate for a 60-year-old to do it, but I'm going to say it's inappropriate for a 40-year-old to do it as well. I don't really feel like this has a place almost anywhere.
I'm going to go down all the way into college. You can be your frat boy with your backward baseball hat and look frat boy, and that's fine because that's what you are. You are defining yourself as kind of a little bit of a that. Uh, but outside of that, no. But it's funny. Here's a funny thing. Uh, Young daughter really fell in love with the show Gilmore Girls. Like wept when it ended because there was no more Gilmore Girls to watch, no more Gillies. And Luke, the main male character in there who owns the diner and whatnot, that's his look. He has a backwards baseball hat on every single episode. And I don't know if it's because his hair was thinning or I don't know why they made that his look, but it's that's what he wears, a backward baseball hat. Uh, and so I've watched over her shoulder long enough where I thought, I'm going to start throwing on the backward baseball hat and did it ironically through Paris this summer. And then I haven't done it since, but I literally was wearing my baseball hat backwards walking around Paris. So it could be maybe revived. There might be some way to bring this back.
There's an outlier for everything, of course. The drummer for Red Hot Chili Peppers, Chad,
Yes.
whatever that guy's name is, that looks
Yeah.
like Will Ferrell. That's his look. And it's like, okay, it's just
That's his look.
It's his look. It's his uniform, basically. So I'm going to let that one slide. But everybody within the sound of my voice listening, it's not for you. And by the way, I generally don't wear hats, but as my hair gets longer, like right now, it's pretty long and it kind of gets in my eyes, and I'm doing chores around the house on a Sunday, I've begun to put the hat on backwards just as a way to keep the hair out of my face. But let me tell you, this past week, I went out to go get coffee and I had that on. I immediately took it off. I got into the car, forgot that it was on, and before I exited the vehicle to go into the public space, I was like, oh my God, I still have this hat on, took it off, left it in the car.
If you feel self-conscious about whatever it is, it's automatically a no barrel. Like even if you want to do something, if you're like, man, I really want to wear a pocket square with my suit. I want to put a pocket square in and be a pocket square guy. That's the look I want. You put your pocket square in, you go outside, you're thinking about it. You're like, oh, I got my pocket square. It's like good fashion, good look is effortless. So if you can throw a baseball hat on backwards, walk out into the world and not even be aware that your hat is on backwards, I think you could probably pull the look.
Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is I want to be my best presentable self out there in the world, and I've got this glorious head of hair. That should be the look I'm presenting to people.
I want the young man to send in a screenshot of the old man in the stands with the backward baseball hat. I want to
Well,
see how he was looking, how he was
I
pulling it.
it's funny. I was thinking he said old. What is old? Because like to a young person, 45 is old. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
How
or
old is this guy?
38 is old, probably. Yeah, I wanted to see like, is this actually like an old dude using a cane? Because that would be hilarious. If
Yes.
he was like 85 years old wearing a hat backwards, would be remarkable.
Comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But generally, no.
Yeah.
Generally, no barrel.
Generally no barrel. Agreed. Okay, final barrel or not coming in from another listener. Let's go. Here we go.
Hello, barrel or nah. Finding something on the trail and keeping it. You know, there'll be a towel, and then maybe a pair of underwear. But I found a leash, NVS leash, and I'm keeping it. Barrel or not, keeping something you found on the trail. Or should I have hung it up? It's kind of a cool leash. Okay, work.
Let's presume you're talking about the trail to lowers or uppers, the trail to trestles, or a similar trail down to the beach.
I'm gonna expand this though. I think finders keepers, losers weepers as a barrel or not in general.
Really?
Sure, why not?
Well, because if you're out in the world, of course, you're never going to find the actual person who lost the thing. But on the trail to the beach, I feel like if I encounter something like a leash on the trail to the trestles, I'm going to hang that up on the fence.
Is the person who lost the leash, would you, if you lost a leash, would you go back looking for it? Would you get to
No,
your car and say, I lost my leash, I better head back?
no. But in theory, I'll be back to surf tomorrow. And if I see my leash hanging on the fence, I'd be really appreciative.
Well, okay. You bring up a good point in terms of just watch the movie. Have you seen the movie, the Wim Wenders film, Perfect Days?
It's on my list, but no, I have not.
Okay, phenomenal movie,
Okay.
highly, highly recommended. Uh, but takes place in Japan, and I've been to Japan. Have you ever been to Japan?
No.
So this is true in Japan. This dude rides his bike around. You never lock your bike. He parks outside a restaurant, goes in because culture is such that things don't get lifted. I would imagine if you
Right.
lost your leash in Japan, it would be hung up. And I want to live in that kind of culture. And so I'm going to say no barrel I'm going to shock myself with no barrel on the finders keepers.
You came around to my point exactly without me really making it, which is we do live in a culture. It's the surf culture. This tiny community of surf culture, we can create this utopia that is Japan. And so if you are in this small culture of walking down to surf trestles, then we operate under different rules than the rest of the world does, than the rest of Southern California does. And in this, people retain their stuff. I'm not taking your stuff. Even if you accidentally leave it behind, it's not mine to take.
I'm going to say those specifically for, and this is the assessment, dear listener, that you make upon the trail when finding something. If I found something that I knew belonged to a kook, if I found, say, a wave storm on the trail, if somebody was on their e-bike, riding up, talking on the phone, and they were unaware that their wave storm like fell out and they were gone, I just saw a wave storm there. I would break the thing in half and throw it in the bushes.
That's a good point. Or, the plastic fin that comes with a wave storm, like,
Yes,
oh, that popped off. Somebody only has two fins on the back of their wave storm now. That thing is going frisbee mode over into the wetlands.
exactly.
Like,
Completely. If you find something that belongs to a kook, destroy it.
I'm not into littering at all, but I will make an exception to properly diminish the kook's ability to surf.
Exactly.
A GoPro mount.
Done. Grind it into the cement there and then kick it into the bushes plastic litter that's going to last forever, but well worth it.
I'm going to start a fire in the center of the trail, right where the trail forks off to go either down to uppers or crossover to go lowers. That is where we're going to start this fire and burn in effigy
Burn
the GoPro
plastic.
mount. Yeah,
Burn
exactly.
plastic because it's worth it.
Exactly. Because you
Yeah,
had
but if
it
you find
coming.
something that belongs to, if you found a nice FCS, or not, FCS isn't nice. If you find a nice Futures bin sitting there, uh, place that on one of the railing tops. If you have
That
pen and paper, write a little note. Hey, lost your fin, buddy.
that's the other thing is that chain link fence for the first portion of the walk is the perfect hanging thing. It's like the
Yep.
perfect place to you could fit a fin in there, it'll stay. You can hang a leash, you can hang a towel, you could stuff it through partially in through the links. Like it's the perfect way to hang stuff.
What if you find a changing poncho?
I'm leaving it behind.
You're not going to burn it?
Changing poncho does not qualify for me as the total kook move. That was a discussion I feel like years and years ago that we had in Barrel or Nah. But to be perfectly honest, in this weather, the changing poncho is a luxury that I appreciate.
Are you using a changing ponch?
I keep one in my car and I don't always use it, but I like having it.
I have been struggling. Will admit, in my Ironman surf streak of 7 days and counting, uh, I don't like to wear a sweatshirt or whatnot down to the shoreline. Like I change in the car or in the parking lot, have wetsuit half up. Wife has been coming with me on her brand spanking new Bobby Quad during this Ironman streak. So we trot down together. She always wears her sweatshirt and whatnot down and then finishes changing on shoreline. I don't. I go down bare chested, get already really cold before then putting on an even colder wetsuit before getting into even colder water and feel I began already like on a way backside, on a
Yeah.
way like a chill that I'm gonna have to work really hard to overcome.
So the other thing is the clamminess of when you get out of the water and you're wet and then putting directly on, snug jeans or
Clothes.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not a great feel. And so that little extra 5 minutes of being in the changing poncho where it's kind of air drying, it's a towel that's, taking the majority of the wetness away,
Man,
but it's also a little bit loose. So you get a little bit of airflow that allows that dampness to go away before you put your clothes on. It's a pretty good invention, gotta
I
say.
never, ever, ever thought on this day, January 3rd, would be the day that I converted, at least mentally, to the idea of a changing poncho. But here I am,
New year, new you.
new me.
Um, how has your life changed during your Ironman streak? Do you feel better for having surfed 7 days in a row?
Yes, I feel like so it's a burden every day. Today, I saw yesterday, Surfline, what has happened to Surfline? Surfline has gone, I don't know if they've let AI run the thing. It's gone totally haywire down here, which I appreciate, to be honest. But it's been calling for the outside forecast during this. It's been epic swell in California. Or yeah, you don't know that. I suppose it has been epic swell in California for a while now. It's kind of tapered off now, but during the middle of it, even Surfline would be calling tomorrow's surf 1 to 2. There's been a regular 1 to 2. So yesterday, surf, da 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 da. It was not great, and I was like, okay, Ironman streak is ending. Check the surf forecast for today. It said 1 to 2. Said, sweet, Ironman streak over. I'm tired. I'm tired not of physically, I'm tired of the kind of the burden. I always feel great when I get out, but just the time suck, right? Of it takes, even if you're going to go for a quick one, it's still a 2 hour chunk of time between all of it. Which is in a day, that's a lot of time, is a 2 hour chunk. So I was like, okay, gonna have kind of the day back in flow. Woke up this morning, nope, 3 to 4. Like, why were you calling it 1 to 2 then? Like, what the heck? And I'm not just calling it, like I was looking at it, fresh pulses come in. So I don't know what's going on with Surfline. I think they must have plugged AI into their forecasting, and the AI has no idea how to forecast, has zero idea of what it's doing, which
Weird.
I'm happy about, because I would hope that a lot of inland people look at that 1 to 2 and say, no, I'm not going to go to the beach.
But you do feel better for having surfed regularly?
I feel good. I feel like I used to get in, when I was on I don't know, 2 surfs every 2 week kind of program, like talking myself out of going because for whatever reason, busy, waves aren't that good, whatever. Then you get in and you get like out of breath paddling and stuff. You just feel it.
Yeah.
Now I feel like, I could paddle all over the world. And like, it's a weird thing about paddling where it doesn't make you look better. You don't get fitter. Nothing changes in your paddling. You can just paddle more. If you paddle, then you can paddle more. You're not stronger, not bigger, not better looking, not more cut, not more fit, nothing. You could just paddle more without
Yeah,
losing your breath.
I know. It's funny.
Yeah.
I've been on a run too. I've tried to avoid the biggest of the swell, but like the last week of the remnants is still super duper fun, and
So
it's a
fun.
lot less work. It's a lot less of that paddling, and it's just I feel great. Like my
Yeah.
outlook on life, my mood is elevated. Like when I am on the thing that you're talking about where it's once a week, I feel like I'm only going once a week to service this addiction that I have to surfing, and I'm actually not fully appreciating it.
Yeah,
And,
no,
you
not even
know,
liking it.
yeah, exactly. Just doing it out of obligation. My head's in the wrong space. But now that I've been in the rhythm, and I think it is just because the waves have been fun for an extended period of time, it's easy to get in the rhythm and and it's easy to have fun when you're out there. But I noticed the mood is just elevated. Everything is brighter. I'm nicer to everybody that I encounter. It's just a better way of life.
Man, everything that comes after surfing too, I feel like I've already achieved something today. And so everything else is, and it does feel that everything is better after that surf because you did that surf. You did the most important thing. And now you can get to the lesser stuff of raising your children and and earning a living and all of it.
That's what they say about the cold water therapy, like if you start your day confronting the most essential and basic of life's fears, like this human fear, not even life's fear, just this human fear, frigid water. If you confront that in the morning and then conquer it, emails, finance, raising kids, all that stuff is easy after that because
Cake,
you already beat the hardest thing.
surfing, beating surfing
Which
every
is,
day.
well, because it's cold too. I mean, there's an analogy there with the cold
It is.
water and what we're surfing currently in Southern California. Anyways, great show, long show. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. But we can't leave without once again reminding people belly up, January 21st. Get your tickets at bellyup.com.
I forgot to mention you've got potential to win free tickets on weekendvans.com/surf. They're going to announce the winner next Friday. So go over there, put your email in. You can win. There's 2 pairs of tickets to win, 4 tickets in total. And 2 winners will be announced next time we record this show, next Friday. So now is your last reminder, weekendvans.com/surf. And yes, do not wait. Limited seating. Karen Howard is going to boost ticket sales for sure. So you want to meet her? You want to shake her hand? Come on out.
She'll even post for a photo. I might even say.
I told Devin, I go, pass the word to her. And Devin will be there too now, by the way.
Oh,
he was initially like not sure that he was going to make it, but I just heard from him yesterday, I believe, that he is going to come. So hang with Devin too. But I told him, I go, hey, get your mom ready to kiss some babies, shake a bunch of hands, because she is going to be the focal point. She knows Rusty. She knows Jojo Roper since he was a baby. So
Star. She's a star.
yeah, she's a star. So belly up, January 21st, Tuesday night. Come on out. Get your tickets in advance. All right, Chaz and Noble Rot. I will see you on Monday over on Noble Rot.
See you on Monday.
All right, see you then.
Keep working.